Hello and a really big warm welcome to this presentation from the Urban Penguin. My name is Andrew Mallett, and in today's video we're going to look at the data layer and look at how we can write applications to be able to retrieve and set information within our databases. But it's not as simple as that. It's understanding the type of operation. We'll begin by taking a look at databases which can be read-heavy or write-heavy. With read-heavy databases, the emphasis is going to be creating indexes so that we can satisfy our query from an index. But indexes duplicate data. So in a write-heavy application, that wouldn't work for us because we have to write our data both to the database and perhaps many different indexes to support the read operations. For many real-time applications, in-memory databases are the best types of database to support the speed of operation. So this then might be a great time to take a look at Redis, our remote dictionary server. You might know that a dictionary in Python is a series or a collection of key value pairs. Well, storing those key value pairs in memory in your Redis server can then provide speed of access to the keys you need. And we're working then on my Rocky Linux 9.4 system using hostname CTL. I think it's always good to start a demonstration so you know the operating system that we're working with. So Rocky Linux 9.4, and it's virtualized within VirtualBox. Now we want to take a look at our remote dictionary server, Redis, and it's available as a standard package on Rocky Linux. So we can use sudo and yum install -y, and the package name is Redis, and we can allow it to come down. It should come down relatively quickly. But as we then start installing it, it's installed then very quickly. Now, of course, we have to start and enable the service. So sudo systemctl enable and ---- now. So enable makes it start on boot, ---- now starts it now. If I look at my open ports with ss-ntl, you can see by default it's listening on the local host on port 6379. Now that's acceptable for me, but if you do need this to be accessible over the network, you'd need to go in and configure Redis further. But for the moment, we'll leave it unconfigured as this will work for the demonstration. Now, to get up and running very quickly with Redis, we do have a command line application, which we run as redis-cli. And we can see then that we get our prompt with the server name and port. And from here, we can then go through and start configuring our keys and values. So as I start typing, we can see that we actually get command line help as well. The grayed out gives me an idea that, well, if I'm using set, I'm setting keys and values. I can also set expiry for those keys and values if required. So I can go through and set a key to be the city with a value of London. If I want to return the value, I can use get and then the key name, so city. And when we take a look at this, obviously we're getting London being returned. Now, any validation on the data will be done in your application. Here, we're just looking at storing key and value pairs. So we've seen then what it does, and I can use exit to jump out of my command line application. We'll look now at using this with our own applications, and we'll use Python. But I'm going to have to install a module for that. So I'm going to go through and set up a virtual environment to allow me to install modules without affecting the system. So I'm running Python 3 -m for module, venv, and I'll create a virtual environment just simply called venv. I can then source from the virtual environment bin and activate script. So that sets up my environment. And of course, now if I go through and check which Python interpreter I'm using, it will be in my home directory and VM bin and Python 3. So we're up and running as far as the virtual environment is concerned. So when I run pip, we're installing into my virtual environment, and we've installed Redis. I don't need to worry about upgrading pip. It's only a short demonstration we are running. But if I now go through and open up my interactive Python shell, so just typing Python 3 by itself, you can see we're up and running with Python 3.9, and we can now go through and import the Redis module that we just installed with pip. We can set up a variable R, which is going to be the instance of the Redis class from our Redis module. So the uppercase R indicating that it's a class we are instantiating, and I can go through and put the parameters for instantiating that class instance. So we need our host, so the Redis host to connect to. So for me, it's going to be localhost. The port, so we're going to put this to be 6379. And then we're going to set our database to be the default database of 0. So we've got a new class now, which we are calling R, or an instance of the class. So we can use methods from that class, so r.set. And inside of our method, we can then go through and start configuring our keys and values, just as we did before. So I can have a key called name, and then a value, let's say, called apple, and then crumble, or Krubel if I forget to put the M in, but that will do for us. Now as I go through, I can return the value, so I might have my name variable being populated by the instance of the class r.get, so the get method, and we're going to get the name key, so the value is going to be returned. When we look at it, we can see that it's in a byte format, so we need it in a string format. So generally, when we're going to print this out, we can print name.decode, and then we'll have it decoded as our string format UTF-8, and then close the two parentheses, and we get our apple Krubel being printed out. So this is good. We've seen it working both with Redis itself, but also now we've seen it within an application. To see it do a little bit more, though, I'm going to clone my repository. So pointing through to github.com and the Urban Penguin. And there's a repository there called DevOps. And then if we move into the DevOps directory, we can move into Redis. And here I've just got a simple script. But if I go through and just take a look at it, so the leaderboard.py, so a Python script that really looks at building and printing a leaderboard, we import Redis, we make our connection. We've got a couple of functions to update the score and get the leaderboard. And it's working with a ordered list. So zadd is adding to the list. And then z reverse range is printing the ordered list, but in reverse order. So from the highest to the lowest. We can see that we're updating the scores of Alice, Bob, and Charlie. And then we are looping through with the for loop. So for each user and score in our leaderboard, we're going to print out the user and the score. Now that's enough time thinking about it. So let's clear the screen and then get into Python and execute the leaderboard.py. And you can see it prints out really quickly and easily. There's not that much in it, but there's nothing in the code to do the ordering. The ordering was done in Redis by itself within our ordered lists. So the Z add and the Z reverse range were telling you that we were working with ordered lists. But we can see now that Bob is in the lead, Charlie a little way behind, with Alice then not so far behind Charlie. By extending our application out into areas such as Redis, we are outsourcing our dictionary services, in this case, to the Redis server. We are moving from a monolith-based application where everything is handled by the application itself, and we are starting to use microservices. Microservices is a preferred architecture in DevOps, as it's less reliant on you having to do all of the code yourself and to build in new features that work with everything in your application. Having third-party microservices is going to make your life much easier, as you just have to integrate to the microservices and not everything within your code. So we can summarize our remote dictionary service, or Redis, listening on port 6387, accepting keys and values. We can work at the command line with the Redis CLI or import Redis to work with Python.
All that is left to say is thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, then you are probably sadder than I first thought. For more of this drivel, please subscribe, like and comment to @TheUrbanPenguin.